As Adam Shapiro just reported, Senator Ted Cruz saying the House bill just doesn't get the job done on Obamacare repeal, is signaling Republicans could botch economic reforms if they don't all get on the same page, to House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Kevin Brady. Representative Brady, thanks for joining us. A lot, of course, hand-wringing over this Obamacare replacement bill. We all know what's at stake here, of course, and we know that all the sides have sort of, I wouldn't say drawn lines in the sand, but they're doing some pretty aggressive negotiating through the public. Where do we stand right now?
Yeah, so I predict at the end of the day we come together, because the alternative is keeping Obamacare, all the taxes, all the subsidies, all the mandates in place, and it's hurting a lot of people. So I think the key here is, look, there's different approaches between how much to spend on Medicaid going forward and when to begin to give states much more control. We have to work that out and will, because the alternative is leaving Obamacare in place. You know, there's other challenges as well about how much of the insurance reforms that we are all united on can we get into this bill, how many will have to go in separate bills. We'll work that out as well, because again, the alternative, leaving Obamacare in place. So I'm confident while we're having a lot of negotiations, a lot of discussions there, I think positive ones, and I'm pretty optimistic we can get this done.
Specifically, though, to Senator Cruz, his comments that, quote, this doesn't get the job done, that it's more or less at the way it's configured right now, it's dead on arrival. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, so we're always looking for ideas and help from our Senate Republicans. In fact, one, they have great ideas, but two, these are their rules. We're writing to their reconciliation procedures, and so the extent that they can lean in and help broaden them so that we can do more, that's always very helpful. And so we do rely upon our Senate colleagues to actually help us get this done, not merely criticize. And the way I see Senator Cruz's role, he's trying to work to find common ground. And
your fellow colleagues in the House, the Freedom Caucus, of course, they're having a rally right now. They've made their concerns loud and clear. And they seem pretty adamant about their position that this will not be the promise made to the American public. This simply is not repeal. How do you get them on board?
Look, these are our conservative colleagues. They, too, have great ideas. They're wrong in this sense. I don't know how you repeal more than $1 trillion of spending, how you cut nearly $1 trillion in taxes, how you reduce the deficit by over $300 billion, and to begin to restore control in the first reforms of Medicaid, frankly, in my lifetime. Those are huge changes from where we're at today. Where I really see them focusing on is the Medicare side of this, and so we're going to have to find common ground between states that want to continue to expand and those who think it's time to do more cost sharing at the state level. I think we can do this. We have far more in common in this regard than we do apart.
There's also their concerns with respect to the tax credits and the essential benefits, which they say is the core, if you think about it, of Obamacare, and not jettisoning that makes everything else disingenuous.
Well, we agree, but look, they have to acknowledge, and often don't, that these are the Senate rules. We are trying to cram 20 pounds of reforms into that 5-pound bag that we're given by the Senate. So every opportunity we have to do more, we want to. So from that standpoint, I think we're all aligned in the House to that regard.
You referred to the Senate and their rules. You've referred to them a couple of times here, but there's a fair amount of criticism that the House tippy-toed through this, that you guys did not take a bolder approach to this and instead talked about how you were hamstrung and how you had to go through certain processes and reconciliation and so forth, rather than taking a much more aggressive approach, that there were avenues for the House to ram tougher, to be tougher with this.
Yeah, I disagree. I hear that from our Senate Republicans, and you know, this is the great opportunity for them to follow through on their pledge to open this up, to allow the House to do more. And I'm anxious to see them deliver on these bold pledges, because let me just tell you what, from the repeal to restoring state control and restoring the free market, the House is all in on that, and we are anxious to have that partner in the Senate to complete the job.
Thursday, with the Budget Committee, are you confident that everything will go well there?
Yeah, so yes, I am. Obviously, they're melding two committee products. We will continue to look for ideas, to ways to improve this legislation as it goes to the Rules Committee next week and to the House floor in the future. And so, look, we're not done yet in the sense that we're trying to incorporate every good idea that can pass the House and that can pass muster in the Senate.
Congressman Brady, I just want to ask real quick, President Trump's budget will be coming out here shortly. The CBO score, no one was happy with the CBO score on the Republican side. Not addressing entitlements, $54 billion additional spending for the military, and some other things like helping the inner cities. All very expensive propositions. I'm a supply sider. I believe velocity of money will bring more money into the Treasury. However, there will be critics that will talk about debt deficit and, of course, that some of the money comes out of the pockets or help for the poor and college students.
Yeah, and I disagree with that because, look, I think Washington wastes too much money. There are so many programs that aren't even authorized anymore. They just continue in perpetuity. We can start there. Ways and Means Committee has identified $150 billion of additional cuts that can be made in the budget over time. We think can help balance it as well. But you also have to take bold steps. One, the health care bill that we've passed out of our committees cuts more than $1 trillion in spending.
Right.
That's major. And tax reform. We need a stronger economy because along with the spending cuts, that's what's going to get our budget back in balance.
Representative Kevin Brady, you have been a busy man, and I appreciate you taking out the time this afternoon.
Thanks, Charles, for having me.